Alright, what's up, guys? So, episodes 16, 17, and 18 had weird audio cutout issues, and I was not satisfied with that, having almost 3 hours of consecutive content with audio issues like that. I was listening to them, and points are very hard to listen to, and I think we're pretty annoying. So, I do this live, more or less, so I can't really go back and fix that, unfortunately. And we can't get the same, live impression or whatever, first reactions and all that stuff. But to try and make that right, I'm gonna go back and re-record these 3 episodes with, after the fact commentary. So I'm just watching these episodes now, and we're just going to talk about them with a little bit of a retrospective commentary. I have this sped up by 50%, so they'll be a little shorter than the original episodes. And that's just because since I'm not, when I'm doing it live, I'm stopping and talking a lot about specific things. And since we're not like in sync with that now, I just figured it might be easier to speed it up. So here we are on -4, the upper caves. I believe this is the second caves branch, and we're about to go to Warlords. I think I just restocked on my matter, and our hypervelocity coil guns are getting beat up, but we have a lot of coil guns in our inventory. A lot of stuff on screen that we don't want to fight. The hunters, the behemoth. Taking advantage of our sensors to see if there's any secrets around. There's a lot of secret nooks in the caves that can have a... Oh, that guy got wrecked. Or derelict surf getting shot by the behemoth. Let's not go that way. We now know that that has open line of sight. I don't know if I was going to risk it either way, but we know for sure now. But yeah, you can often find like a derelict researcher tucked away in away in like a cave cubby hole that you have to dig into. And one of the items that they can have, which is very, very good, is the core expander, which gives you a random core slot. And as long as you are capable of exploring the caves without too much trouble, then it is very much worth your time to get that. It is, I mean, it's an extra half evolution. Every slot makes a huge difference, and that one is the same, Alright, looks like we're getting closed in by some grunts here. I'm trying to dig around. If you dig in like the corners that are like extents, they'll usually open up into like wider spaces. Like that. Although for some reason, that time I don't think I was actually expecting that to open directly into a space, which is why I risked it there, even though there was a hunter there. Usually there's like a couple of earth tiles in between. That's fine, we can fight here. I wonder if I go into siege mode. We did throw on some heavy and improved heavy treads, or I guess we just have the improved ones now. Those are pretty much expendable, which is why I have them equipped, and doesn't change our speed to have them on. I believe their coverage is the same as well, so the only thing that matters is their integrity, and they're probably the first thing I'm going to ditch when I need more inventory slots. Just throw on more Centurium Heavy treads, but I'm trying to keep some of those Centurium Heavy treads alive so that later on I can go and repair them, ideally. Just keep those things rolling, because I believe those are what, 800 integrity? They're pretty good armor for treads. Outposts up there. A lone sentry at the bottom. That sentry spots you, they can call in for reinforcements. Sends in an ARC. And he would come from that exit that we found at the beginning of the map. Exit to research. They can only spawn from complex allied exit. We're apparently corrupted. So this is one of those episodes where my screen was cropped oddly, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm like misfiring all over the place, it looks like. Transmission jammers are pretty good. Don't end up using them here. They pair really well with sensors because When you're using sensors, you can get jammed by watchers, but the transmission jammer lets you go and fight the watcher without them being able to alert their allies, which is pretty nice. We have a weak core analyzer equipped. Not sure why. I guess because I have the coil guns. Core analyzer, that one gives you a 6% chance to transfer half the damage you deal directly to the core. And that combines really well with crit, because if a critical hit is that chance, then it instant kills them because it hurts their core. The higher level core analyzers, though, are like much nicer for that. Be ashamed to misfire with our penetrating weapons near that outpost, which is probably what I was just saying. Restock on matter a bit here. RC is getting quite close to us. I'm going to try and dig into this hole in case he comes our way, but he doesn't. Again. So right now I'm looking, if he goes to the top right, he's going to see us from there. I can move to the left to conceal the vision, which I do, but now, no matter where I move, there's a risk of a cave-in. So I just gambled the about 3% chance of a cave-in with having to fight that ARC. In hindsight, I don't know if that was the right move or not, but it's what I decided at that time. ARC has a really tight patrol path right here where we're trying to maneuver around in, which is getting pretty dangerous. And he was just one tile away from seeing us right there. The guy decided just to get up here where he seems to not be patrolling. These guys to the left are in a kind of annoying spot as well. Looks like we're kind of getting funneled through them. Make a preemptive dig in case I need to hide if they started coming my way. RC took a slightly different path that time. Oh cool, we found a digging path. Successfully maneuvered around those guys. And we found our buddy Warlord. Or at least his floor. I was just curious. It's kind of rare that that exit is actually in the very corner of the map. I was curious if there was like some kind of secret or something up there that we could see. There are a couple secrets that you can only really find with terrain scanners, or like really lucky random digging, I guess, and not with sensors. They might be like a little pocket of like good parts or something in them. But yeah, usually there's like the extreme corner of the map, and then the exit is usually inset like a little bit, so there's kind of like a quote unquote cave like room in that corner, and not the exit. But I guess just the way this layout was set, nothing got generated further than the exit. So once you enter Warlord, you're on a timer. I think I'm deciding to ditch some stuff right now, because we know we need to make at least 6 slots of room to get the BFG, the Superweapon. There might be a few other items we end up wanting to pick up, depending on what kind of layouts we get. There's just a bunch of like random rooms that could have stuff in them. I'm trying to make the hard decisions now. Basically 500 turns from when you enter, the complex starts assaulting his base. Really brutal on treads. Any kind of slow propulsion. Because it generally happens before you can even fully explore the thing. There's a few rooms in there, like the Vortex Lab, which trigger that to start immediately, even before the timer. I think if you talk to Warlord, it also sets it off. I noticed this run, and this kind of counts some of the subsequent floors, I think, or episodes from this one, in hindsight. I don't know if this was the incorrect decision or not, but it's just an observation. I held on to a few items that were broken or disabled, sort of like that, well, these Centurium treads, which aren't disabled, but they're very low integrity. And there's also that improved KE penetrator, which is disabled. I think it got disabled when I tried to scanalyze it or something. I held onto them in my inventory with hopes of repairing them, and I don't think, and I did that with a few other items after the fact here. I don't think I ever managed to actually repair any of those items, which it's a data point that makes me less likely to do that in the future. And also, trying to repair or scanalyze items when you're not very good at hacking seems to just make it more likely to break them. So I feel like I'm less likely to use those machines in the future on combat builds, unfortunately. If you do get some good like hackware though, like maybe get like a nice prototype piece of hackware on combat builds, I have gotten into situations where I've gotten a lot of value out of a repair station. So that's not like a one set rule, but I think I'm less likely to try and make much useful use, yeah, out of repair stations and analyzers and combat builds in the future. Yeah, so you always spawn in the bottom right on Warlord's map. The exit's always in the top right, and then there's a secret exit to the base in the bottom left or the top left that you can't get into from here, but there are options to leave through. The one on the bottom actually isn't that great most of the time. These guys are called Demented, and they cause corruption to everyone around them. If you have allies, they'll probably die almost immediately with these guys around. They do cause corruption at Cogmind, but it gets cleansed right here when you walk through this gate. Be careful that you don't misfire into the gate, because I think that makes them hostile. Not sure if I've ever had that happen. These traps are friendly, so you don't have to worry about them, unless you're corrupted, actually. Which means that fire trap at the very entrance is dangerous. It's nice to have big, wide sensors here, because we can see what a lot of the rooms are before having to actually walk into them, which helps since we're on treads. There is DEC. That's where we get the Superweapon, so we're taking note of that. He is in the Vortex Lab, which triggers the event, so we want to hold off on that. Probably we want to get into Warlord's Vault. If you get a data miner and use the terminals there, you'll get the access code to the vault. We did not get data miner this run, but you can still dig into it. Now, I don't want to, or this run at least, I didn't want to meet Warlord. If you meet him and he sees you and you get his dialogue, he kind of sets off an event later that I just felt like not doing. In hindsight, that event probably would have been good for us, but I feel like you generally have less control with that event, and I usually don't like it. There's a lot of perks to it, though. And it happens on the -2 research floor. I think I try to avoid it here. So that's fake god mode in the corner there. He stands right outside of the vault usually. So I can kind of use that in my sensors to guess where the vault it is and dig into it from the outside without triggering Warlord's dialogue. There's Warlord, our pink guy down there. The way they're set up, the entrance is on the left, and the vault is to the right of God mode and to the north of Warlord. Just from what I know on the layouts there. So I think we can dig into it from this room. That way we can break into his vault and get the loot without triggering his event. think what I'm also realizing right now is that, at least when I was playing it live and what I'm kind of looking at, right now I'm checking the timer. We entered on about turn 27,800, we'll say. And we haven't wasted too much time yet, it looks like. So we should be good to explore a little bit more. But yeah, I'm also, I think, while playing this live, wondering if my Great Axe can break through the reinforced wall of this vault. I think we have the Molecular Deconstructor, which can open, I think, any wall in the game. You see those are brighter orange, it's a reinforced barrier. 56 damage, just outside of the max range of our Great Axe. Now, a little trick you can do in some areas is drop everything and go down to your core hover, which is a lot faster than treads. 50 speed compared to like probably at 180 right now. And momentum damage is based on your speed, so a lot of times that'll get you into a range where you can break some of these walls with weaker weapons that wouldn't normally be able to do that. That might be a little risky here because you're on a time limit. Although we have like 300 turns, so it's probably we could have done that here if we want. In places like Zion, where there's no threat at all and you have all the time in the world, that works pretty well. I don't want to shoot from the cave-in tiles, so that's why I dug some more and backed up. And voila, the molecular deconstructor gets us in. That power source is the VCR 2-slot power source. High mass, pretty high coverage. If you throw it on this early in the game, it'll probably get shot off before it becomes really useful. But it's 50 energy generation and 700 storage, I believe, which is a good amount. That generation is what, probably the highest per slot, if not one of. So I like to think of it that kind of, I feel like it's overvalued by a lot of people in the community. People make it sound like super OP, but I think there's a lot of high level reactors you can get later that come close to it. You know, equip 2 slots worth of them. It is super nice though, and I think it does kind of end up saving you like half a slot because it gives you great generation and great storage. You're probably saving a bit of a like slot that you could be using for either additional generation, like another engine, or like a power amplifier or something, or a slot that you might be using towards some energy storage anyways. Experimental core analyzer, good find. So how this works is the borders of this vault are filled with items, and they're always going to be the same type of items, but they might not always be there, and the specific item within the type is randomized. There's like 2 processor locations, 2 device locations, like a storage one, 2 flight unit, 2 hover unit, 2 legs, I think. And a hackware one. There's a hackware one that can show up, I think. Did we get an experimental matter compressor? That's really good for our build. The thermal barrier is pretty good. That's 50% thermal resistance. Enhanced biometal legs. So I think I end up taking these because we've been getting pretty low on treads and we have not restocked since for a couple of floors. We got those at -6. So if we had to switch to legs at some point, those would be nice to have. Legs are much more common because hunters and grunts have them. They're probably more common in general in stockpiles too. I don't know that for a fact, but I don't know if they are or not. But it's really easy to replenish legs if you just need to keep moving. And having 2 like very good legs, like these enhanced biometal ones, and then a few other ones that you pick off of grunts and hunters, so it felt like a good mix to me as like a last ditch scenario if we do run out of treads. So I think I carry these just for that purpose. Ditch these beat up Centurium treads to make room for them. Experimental phase shifter. Reduces enemy range targeting accuracy by 20%. It's a really nice item. It used to be 30%. Phase shifters got nerfed across the board, which is a good nerf. It probably helps the player more than the more than not most of the time, because hunters use phase shifters and they're pretty tough enemies to begin with. Big energy hog, minus 20 upkeep. They're relatively high coverage, so they tend to get shut off pretty quickly. It's probably not the best thing for our build since we don't have a lot of energy generation. But it's the kind of thing where it's like you might as well use that until it gets shut off, then like just discard it or ignore it. We are having to make some tough inventory decisions here, though. I think I'm going to fast forward through this because we've identified all of the items now that we're going to look at. And I think I'm just making inventory decisions. Like I ditched a coil gun, a broken KE pen. Cool. That was to make room for the thermal barrier, phase shifter. I guess that's it, right? I dropped 3 items there. There might have been something else we grabbed. Get rid of one of our beat up Centurion heavy treads to get the bimetal leg. So yeah, free allies here. Can't pass that up. The programmers got nerfed, so you can't actually rewire them anymore. So those guys actually don't do anything. Yeah, see, it's a stage cannot be rewired at the top there. I wonder if I could have harvested them for something useful. And yeah, the invasion is already beginning. We're right about 300 or 500 turns now. We hardly even got to explore any of the map. If I didn't have the sensors, we might have not gotten to explore like anything. By the way, this vortex lab that we're in right now, sometimes the items that spawn here will let you get into that vault if you don't have another way to break the reinforced barrier. Here it is, the BFG. 50 mass, 6 weapon slots. Yeah, it looks pretty crazy to see that in your inventory. So we have an entire large storage unit dedicated to that right now. So we're at -1 utility slot just to carry that thing around. And later on, I grab a few support utilities just for that. Not ones that normally you would really need just to support that, but I wanted to do some tricks with it that are a little over the top. So I grabbed a few things like a Q cap for it. So I ended up devoting 9 to 10 inventory slots for it, which is like almost 2 whole utility slots, essentially. And we got 2 vortex lances here, 60 to 100 damage, not bad. The way vortex items work is they have a limited number of uses until they are destroyed. And these have 12 uses. I just don't have the inventory for them right now. If I just had a little bit more inventory space, I would have brought those because they're pretty nice. You can either cut through walls with them pretty easily, or they'd just be pretty good for killing specific enemies. I think I may have been considered bringing those just to kill Alpha 7, which are tough prototype bots you run into later. They're basically like single tile behemoths. And they're actually a little bit weak to piercing, which makes those items pretty good for them. And vortex items also are not resisted by anything. Oh, since they're vortex and not piercing, technically, I bet you the Alpha 7 wouldn't actually be weak to them. They're still good for killing pretty much anything. But only 12 uses, I decided to leave them instead of carrying them. That's a fun event. Those engineers are like, who put this guy here? How do we get him into this room? I look at him briefly to see if he has any items we might want. I think those spiked heavy treads are one of the ones that used to be harder to get in your gallery. One of the heavy treads are. So you can see main.c's forces assaulting the base. They already killed all of the initial defenders. Which I think normally, I don't know where we're at in the assault. I think normally they win that. Like I feel like Warlord got beat a little more than normal here. But I think the way this works is the second push, like everyone comes out. It's tough because if you don't get out of here, the base eventually gets overwhelmed. You feel like there's a bit of annoying randomness involved in this this event, which makes this this base dangerous to go into if you're slow. That guy that just spawned is warning me that there's a secret entrance, and it goes down through here on the bottom right this time. When it's at the top, it's actually pretty useful shortcut. When it's on the bottom, you're usually better off just going through the middle. A couple of allies here. There's a grunt that wandered off. Our non-combat ally decides to lead the charge, which they love to do for some reason, and I dislike very, 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 very much. I hate non-combat allies. Like he's like, they should sit like in the back during combat, but instead they freak out. They often end up in the front lines, which is really annoying. That Archangel, all it does is provide a force field to everyone. It just needs to sit in the back and do its thing. Instead, it's like actually actively blocking my fire. Being annoying. Alright, so Warlord's forces pushed out and ended off the guys that were in there. They're about to get attacked by more guys. I'm going to just try and sneak through. They're probably not going to aggro Cogmind specifically because he's not attacking them. Looks like they are aggroing our allies though. There's the exit. You gotta be careful because sometimes you like want to wait around the exit so your allies like catch up and stuff, but your allies or the complex forces can actually spawn right on top of the exit, which gets really dangerous. Right now I'm talking about how little we got to explore before all that happened and how brutal this event, this area can be for someone that's on treads like we are. I do wait a few turns for a hunter to catch up. And we get to the next floor. Yep, so that was Warlords, and we're now in the Proximity Caves, and we're going to be entering Research next. I hope this worked out for everyone, and I hope this serves as a decent replacement for the screwed up audio episodes. I'm quite frustrated that happened, especially the third one, episode 18, because I thought I fixed everything, and I even recorded some other episodes the day before for other content, and there were no issues, and then I go to record that one for Cogmind, and it has the same issues, which is incredibly frustrating to me. And I hate to have to put out content like that, and I don't know, it just looks bad. But that's why I'm trying to make it up to everyone and recording these. So I hope this works out as a decent replacement, and I hope the audio is good on this. I think it should be. So yeah, enjoy, guys. I'll do the same thing for the next 2 episodes, and then start dropping the rest of the series as normal with no audio problems. So thanks for tuning in for another look at this episode, and I'll catch you guys next time.